There was this large dungeon appearing in the world, and there were minor workers around the dungeon, as dungeons had a large number of resources along with the dangers from the demons residing in it. And to fight these demons, the players were born to fight them, eliminate them from the dungeons, and kill them. Jiang Mingyu, who is the miner, enters the dungeon to mine after the players eliminated the monsters. He continues to work as a miner as he gets a lot of payment despite the tiring work which got his body strong and muscular. Jiang was then hit by his co-worker Lao Fan as Jiang wasn't responding despite calling him so many times. To which Jiang asks Lao as to why he entered the dungeon as it was hot in there, and Lao answers that he was there to give him his pay, and Jiang snatches it from his hand and excitedly thanks him for the pay, to which Lao asks him to treat him after work, to which Jiang disagrees, busy counting his money. Lao then wraps his arm around Jiang and asks him whether he is still saving up money to buy an awakening stone, and gives Jiang advice saying it was a very expensive item and that the E-rank awakening stone cost thousands and he would be in danger. He thinks of becoming the player. And Lao continues by saying that his nephew also shouted about becoming the player, and then his parents spent their savings to buy him the awakening stone, after which he got scared and didn't even dare to enter the dungeon next time. Jiang then gets dragged away by looking at the stone, which seems to be the awakening stone by which people were awakened to become players, and the dungeons only belonged to certain guilds, which made obtaining the awakening stone even harder for normal humans, even though it was the lowest rank awakening stone. Listening to this, Jiang assures Lao that he wasn't any leech to put such money despite them having to maintain his family's cost of living, as his sister was about to go to the university and his aunt was managing all the costs, and states that even if he got to become the lowest ranked player, he could earn much more than how much he was earning currently, so that his aunt wouldn't have then need to work so hard as she did. Then the client of Jin's guild appears and starts to make fun of Jiang for dreaming about being the player, and then Jiang grows furious and is stopped by Lao warning he was a client of the Shang Jin guild's member, Zhao Miao. The client then starts to insult Jiang and Lao for how they, even though the miners like them, would become players, and makes fun of them, saying they need to mine for their entire life even to afford an awakening stone, and tells Jiang to face reality instead of dreaming and reminds the gap between them. Lao then tries to save Jiang by asking why would they even have dared to fight with our client. Then Zhao Miao shrugs and leaves, warning them that they weren't hired to chit-chat instead of working. Lao then sighs, saying that it was good that Jiang wasn't reckless or else it would have led to him getting killed, to which Jiang assures him that he was fine. The dungeon then starts to collapse, panicking all other workers who run towards the gate to protect and save their lives. Jiang then yells out to Uncle Lao that the dungeon's gate was getting smaller gradually, which might be due to the spoilage of the awakening stone. Seeing this, Lao yells out to Jiang to run faster, but the rock falls on Lao, which panics Jiang and he tries to move the rock from his back. Lao then suggests running quickly towards the gate and not worrying about him, to which Jiang disagrees and continues to help Lao to escape along with him. Later, after a while, Zhao appears and Jiang starts to beg him to help Lao, to which he ignores and is about to leave from the gate of the dungeon without helping them. Jiang gets furious, and as he is about to punch Zhao, Zhao punches him using his power, throwing Jiang to the walls of the dungeon. The gate then closes as Zhao leaves, leaving Jiang and Lao trapped inside. Jiang's sister calls out to her mom regarding him not returning, to which her mother tells her to call him Big Brother and thinks that he would be at the party with his co-workers since it was his payday today. Jiang's sister Xiao then watches the news on the TV, which states that the city dungeon had collapsed, which belonged to Shangjin Guild, and that the mining work was assigned to the Da Chuan team, which led to the injury or death of the mine workers. Listening to this, Jiang's sister Xiao yells out that it is Jiang's team and calls out her mom after the news that she heard. When her mom enters, she states that it was the Da Chuan mining team and asks why she was shocked, as the news stated that 2 members were missing from the team, which shocked Jiang's mom, and she was worried about Jiang, who had not returned home yet, as he was part of that mining team of the Da Chuan. They both barge out to the door listening to the sounds and find injured Jiang laying towards the door, who apologizes for losing the key. His mom hugs him tight and starts to cry as she is relieved to see him and that he is back safe. Then his sister appears back seemingly worried and appears crying at the fact that he came back home good enough after listening to the news over the TV. It was at the dungeon, where it was blocked upon due to the collapsing, that it happened, and the gates were now closed, where Jiang was left exhausted on the ground, badly wounded due to the collapsing of the dungeon he was working at. He cries out of pain, thinking as if his rib cage would be broken, and he was bleeding too much, losing a lot of blood, and he was falling unconscious. He then feels guilty as to how he didn't even expect to die in such a place like this. Jiang then recalls his aunt saying how she would point out Jiang for throwing his dirty clothes all around, and also thinks about his sister, who used to blame Jiang for eating her mousse cake from the fridge, which she kept for herself. He then cries out, recalling the memories he had, and yells out his voice as he didn't want to die in such a position and upon the urge to live. He then comes in contact with the glowing yellow stone which was on the ground near his hand where he fell due to the wounds he had. It then glows and the sound pops up showing him a screen in front of him which has the display saying that the Abyss system was activated, which later gives him the warning notice as to how much he had the lifespan to live, which showed that being the host had an only duration of 30 seconds, and then asks whether he would like to become the king of the Abyss, and the time starts ticking, leaving Jong confused as to what he was witnessing. He then confirms to choose the yes option as if he just wanted to live instead of dying at such a place, and then decides upon the yes option despite whatever the condition was. As soon as he tapped onto yes, the notification popped up saying that he was now the king of the Abyss, after which the power started to flow all around Jong, which was apparently due to the effect of the magic stone he found around. It was morning, after which Jong woke up at his home wondering in his thoughts and found that there was a screen panel that appeared in front of him which seemed like some game to him, and he was still confused about what it was. Then the screen notified showing him the system's mission as to obtain the AW points to level up. Jong then recalls what happened on the night when he was at the edge of death, and then realizes that he arrived at his house after he visualized the bright gold light and wonders what it was like, a type of magic. He was brought back teleported to his house from the dungeon. He then looks at the screen panel, which seemed to be so big, and learns that this would not be made with some sort of magic. The screen panel showed him all his strength, ability, and mental spirit, all the points, and the level he was in as if it was in the game. He then thinks adjusting all 3 attributes would make him a full-time player, but then notices that he needs to obtain the AW points to level up his skill. Seeing this, Jong starts to think about what those AW points were and wonders how they would be obtained to get his skills level him up. As he was deeply involved in understanding the system and thinking about all the injuries that were now healed which he got the last night, his sister barged and yells about how much longer he planned to sleep, scaring Jong as he yelled out that she could knock the door before she came, stating it was a boy's room, and asks what if she saw something which wasn't meant to be seen. His sister then sarcastically asks how would she know whether he was doing dirty stuff in the room, to which Jong yells in disagreement, confirming he was not doing any sort of dirty stuff. Then she tells him to get off the bed quickly and tells him to get down to eat the breakfast. Jong then asks his sister whether she was able to see the screen panel ahead of them, to which she answers that he would have gone crazy upon hitting his head yesterday while he got wounded. She then tells Jong that there is nothing wrong with him and tells him to wake up, then tells him that mom has to keep up with the housekeeping and that she has her friends coming up to meet at the library in the noontime, and then suggests him to not roam around doing all sorts of dangerous stuff jobs in future. She then said that she had already applied for the loan to pay her university fees and that she was now working part-time and earning money by herself to complete the payment of her fees. Jong then yells out happily whether it was that she was concerned about him, to which his sister sarcastically answers that who would spend the money when Jong earned from his job, leaving him shocked, and Jong calls her the demon for how mean she was for talking like that, after which she leaves the room closing the door. Tao then listens to the knock on their door, thinking that if her friends were here now, and calls out Jong to wake up and eat his food. She then rushes to the door to open it, but the door keeps on knocking continuously, after which Tao opens thinking it is her friends and proceeds to ask why they were not early. She notices that it isn't her friends who are at the door, and she then questions who they were, to which the man blocks the door before it shuts and tells Tao not to get scared, and telling that they weren't the bad guys, which left to a fearful look in her eyes seeing such creepy men who seemed like gangsters dropped by at her house. The gangsters were waiting at the Jong's house knocking on the door. A small kid was playing on the road with his football. He pointed at those 2 men who stopped by Jong's house, after which he pointed at them as gangsters. After that his mother came and told him to leave quickly. The man then turns towards Tao asking whether she is the daughter of Bai Zianyang, and then he pulls out the debt receipt of her father taking a loan from them, which was 3 years ago, from their office, and tells her that money that summed up make it a huge sum of amount in total, and he was here to collect back the money he had taken from them as a loan. So, the man starts to demand the money to be paid for her father's debt. Listening to this, Tao yells out that they weren't responsible for it and suggests that if he claimed money from her father, they should go and take it from him by themselves, stating they were the victims in the case. The man then throws out the statement and speaks as if he pitied them for having such a person in the family who would gamble in the family, and how he ran away ditching his wife and daughter alone without paying his some amount and leaving them in this type of crisis, and then threatened her saying that she, as his daughter, was the only one who must pay her father's debt, and then grabs her by arm. Tao then yells out fearfully, after which the man states that if she isn't ready or if she can't pay their debt, they have no other option but to use her to earn money so that their debts get paid up, and proceed to pull her into doing things which would make them satisfy their loan. Tao then resists upon getting pulled by them and yells out for help to save her, as the men are dragging them to kidnap her for this cause. She is struggling to leave the man's grip. The other man Lao punches her right in the face as she struggles to escape and is screaming out too much, and tells the guy to drag her out, and convincing her was a waste of time, to which the guy in the orange suit yells out to Lao that not to hurt her is to be gentle with her, or else she wouldn't be able to be sourced to earn money with such face having scars and injuries. They then continue to threaten Tao to cooperate with them, or else she would suffer if she didn't obey them, and follow their orders obediently. Then Jiang barges outside the door listening to the sounds and finds two men grabbing Tao by her arm and dragging her to kidnap her. He then asks what is going on and demands to stop how they were hurting her sister by grabbing her arm. The two men stared at him for a few moments, looking at how he appeared, and then burst out to laugh seeing him as to where this weakling had come from. Jiang then gets furious and swiftly moves towards them, attacking one of them, the dark-haired man, who was Lao, in an instant, shocking Tao and the guy beside him. Then he catches Jiang's arm as if he dared to even try to attack him and squeezes his grip tight to his arm to not let him leave. Jiang then struggles to withdraw his hand from the dark-haired man's grip, after which Jiang gives up on fighting him and later suggests that they could sit and solve this matter by talking instead of fighting things and creating violence, before which the dark-haired man Lao kicks Jiang as to what nonsense he was talking, where he ends up getting hit, spilling out blood. Tao then yells out in concern so as not to hit her brother, after which Jiang assures her that he is fine and there is nothing to be scared of. The other guy then learns that Jiang belongs to her family and starts to insult how useless his family was, and says that the dark-haired man, Lao Wang, was so strong, being the underground boxer, and he was even capable of killing anyone if he were the stage. Lao then was tense to do things sooner and settle this matter as they could have. The police come, pulls Tao by the hair, and she yells in pain, asking him to let her go. Jiang then yells out to leave her, after which the two men drag her, telling him to get enough money to redeem her back or else he will later find her in erotic videos. Jiang then was furious about what was going on, how his sister was getting assaulted by two strangers, and called out the Abyss system where the panel appears. Then he decided to fight them, where he distributed all his attributes to strength, eventually getting all his attributes towards his strength. Jiang then stands up after gaining the strength level from the Abyss system, threatening them to let go of her sister, and then Lao decides to fight Jiang and fiercely throws Tao beside them and moves forward to fight Jiang to teach him a lesson by breaking his bones and making him give up the instinct to fight against him. The guy then reminds Lao as a warning not to kill Jiang as he did the last time later, after which Lao decides to fight Jiang and calls him up to face him. Jiang approaches him with all of his strength, and then Tao yells out for her brother, seemingly concerned about him. It was the past, Young sobbing in the park when some children were bullying her, and as they were about to hit her, Kid Jiang fought against them to save her sister and then attacked them with a stick as how they dared to hit her small sister, proceeds to fight for her. A boy when he punched Jiang in his face, to which Jiang hit him with a stick on his head, leaving him wounded by his head. Jiang then stands up for Tao and warns the kids that if they ever bully Tao again, he will kill them. Listening to this, the kids run for their lives, who were scared of Jiang, calling him the murderer. Tao then approaches Jiang, concerned, asking him where he was hurt as she finds him bleeding, to which Jiang shows off as if he was very strong, it didn't even hurt him, and assures her that there won't be anyone who would dare to bully her hereby from now on. In the present scene, Jiang decides to fight Lao as they are mishandling his sister for some other random debt made by the father of their family, and Tao calls out for her brother, seemingly concerned about him. Lao then grins and insults how soft was the punch thrown by Jiang was, and then he starts comparing it to the massage touch which was given by girls. Jiang then approaches Lao fully focused with all his gained strength from the attributes of the system Abyss. Jiang then throws a hard punch on Lao's face, distorting his cheek, and Lao then starts to faint, which leaves shocking expressions on the faces of Tao and the other men who are standing behind him. Lao is now thrown onto the ground by Jiang's punch and yells at pain as on how immense power was felt by him through the punch Jiang has attacked him. Jiang then gets astonished at how much power he gained from his 20 attribute points from the system Abyss gave him such a power, making him feel so strong. The other man was now scared and decided to flee from Jiang after seeing how Lao was dropped down by someone like Jiang, and wondered how he seemed to be the player fighting Lao. The System Abyss panel appears in front of Jiang, where the notification pops up showing that he obtained 10 awe points. After which Jiang realizes that fighting someone and getting them in an awful position would get him to obtain the awe points to increase his attributes and give him a skill up treat. Jiang then starts to think about how many people he had to make feel awful again to gain the awe points, which would help him to increase his attributes, thereby leveling him up. As he keeps thinking about how to gain more awe points, the other man is trying to find the chance to slide away and escape from Jiang, and when Jiang spots his attempt to run away from him and flee the situation, he proceeds to punch him on his face. Soon after, the man yells Jiang to stop, and just within the instant, he falls onto the ground, pleading him to spare him, and continues to beg Jiang upon the mistake he did, to which Jiang asks on how they didn't even seem to have such a shame as to how he was not even having the pride being a gangster, as he kneeled just to ask Jiang for forgiveness. The man then states that they were from the loan office who came to them as they were hired by the office to do this thing, and then shows the receipt of the loan taken by his father, and concludes that even though he got beaten up, there would be some others to claim and collect the loan amount from them. Jiang then has thoughts about resolving the matter soon by paying up the loan amount which they had the debt on, or else they wouldn't have any peace if they remained in debt without paying the loan, which may have problems arisen for Jiang's family. Jiang then starts to inquire regarding the details of the man as to where his office was and asks who their boss was, claiming that he would visit to deliver the pay of the amount personally someday. The man then discovers the location, stating it was located at the Huagong Market's inner area, which was the Kaiyuan company which was undertaken by Meng Fei. Saying this, the man is scared and looks for the opportunity to leave and then asks Jiang to leave if there isn't anything else to talk about. After which Jiang approaches the man with the scary face and grins at him as to how he used his right hand to grab her sister's arm, staring at his hand, and to which the man trembles in fear, stating he didn't do it on purpose, and cries upon it in a trembling tone and apologizes for doing such mistake. Jiang then furiously proceeds to stamp the man's hand for grabbing her sister with an evil grin on his face, after which there was this abyss system panel appeared in front of him which notified that he obtained 10 awe points for stamping over the man's hand. After which the screen then shows that Jiang passed through the system's mission he was given as a task to complete to get his level up, after which the notification pops up on the screen which showed to claim the rewards, which were all the other attributes which were at low levels were now increased after obtaining the awe points by fighting the two men, and he observes that Jiang's strength reaches to 30 grade along with agility at 12 level and mental spirit being at 18 level, and other undisturbed attribute points of 2 which promoted Jiang's level from level 1 to level 2. At Jiang's home, Jiang starts to wonder how he sorted out upon leveling up by the system to get all points, and thinks about how he obtained the 2 new attribute points after leveling up. He then falls onto the bed, sighing that on how he used up all those attributes at the moment he fought Lao, and thinks that he should have saved them, and yells about how he dreamed of becoming a hexagon warrior, and then thinks about where he would add the other points to, and then decides to add it the agility as he had good levels of the mental spirit. Jiang then opens the system abyss panel where he yells out of excitement as to how it had a notification to obtain the reward for himself. The screen starts to glow and Jiang is curious about the reward he received, then finds that there is some skill called Weakling's Aura, which is described as it would decrease self-defense and help to make someone look weaker, and which could be upgraded with the spiritual stone. Jiang then yells, thinking how useless this skill would be as it made him look weaker, and then feels that all his excitement went in vain as the system got him happy for nothing. Tao then enters the room, dressed up in a suit, telling her brother that she is now leaving for the library with her friends. Jiang tells her to be careful around and states to come back early soon. After she leaves, Jiang gets up thinking that he will now go to solve the things that he had to settle. It was the Lu City Huagong Market, and at Kayan Jin's office, a man in a suit yelling at the gangster man who was about to kidnap Tao and who escaped from Jiang after getting a stamp on his right hand, fracturing it, kneeling in front of Kayan Jin as he was questioning him as to why he was not able to collect the debt, and he returned in such a condition after being beaten up by a kid, and orders the man to explain in detail as to what had happened. The man then explains how the kid Jiang acted very weak in the start and even got beaten up by Lao at first, but after which he was shocked seeing that the kid was able to throw Lao to the ground with just a punch, signifying how overwhelmed he was by the power, and shows that on how he got his hand fractured by him stamping on it. Kayan then surprisingly asks if he wasn't Lao, an underground boxer, and how he was just thrown by just a single punch from the kid. The man then yells out saying that he would be acting weak and thinks that he was also a player. Kayan then asks a man beside him how his chances are for being a player, to which he states he would only know after someone fights with him, and tells the boss that it might be possible for him to be some sort of man who was just awakened as a player. The boss subordinate enters the room, informing them that there is a kid who is here to visit him to pay his family debts. Kayan then yells furiously as to how he dared to beat his men and he had the guts to visit him now. He then looks at the man angrily, pointing that he was the one who lured Jiang to his office, which scares the man, and he tremblingly answers that he wasn't at fault and it was due to the threats given by Jiang. Kayan then orders the man not to embarrass him and arrogantly tells him to get out of his sight. The boss subordinates then inform the boss of the fact that Jiang has arrived. As Kayan was looking at who was arriving, Jiang bowed his head in confusion, asking who was Boss Meng as he was there to visit him. Kayan then comes forward introducing himself as the boss and then confronts Jiang, him being the one to beat up his men. Jiang then apologized for it, saying that it happened due to all of his overwhelming emotions which he accidentally lured upon, ending up injuring the two men. Seeing how Jiang was talking, Kayan suspects him whether he was acting as if he felt like a weakling to him. Kayan then states that there were matters where men did poorly and says it was fine, and later confronts Jiang as he didn't only come to apologize but sensed the other purpose too. Jiang then agrees and asks Kayan to provide some more time to clear the debt left by Sir Bai, to which Kayan agrees simply by putting an evil face, stating that he had a condition to fulfill. Jiang then was happy as he was given time to pay up the loan and asked Kayan to reveal what his condition was, to which Kayan brought one of his subordinates, stating to fight him, after which they would talk about the extensions later. Jiang was trembling and he suggested that it wasn't a good way to create any violence and asked for something other option instead of it. Kyan then moves forward speaking to Jiang as he makes a deal that on fighting upon his men, he has to pay him back for what he did and tells Jiang to choose between paying the debts now or else fighting his men. Jiang then thinks about the situation and asks Kyan whether he would get an extension of loans after he wins fighting his men, to which Kyan agrees. Kyan then sets up the fight with Jay, reminding Jiang that he is a true player who has sharp eyes. In an instant, went on to attack Jiang after detecting his weaklings aura around him. Jiang was startled by how speed he was and planned to block the attack, and suddenly, Jay vanished from his sight ahead and appeared behind him, which startled Jiang. Ming Yu attempts to block Jay's attack, but Jay swiftly maneuvers behind him with malicious intent, demanding to know where Ming's attention was focused. Startled, Ming spins around in an effort to evade, but Jay delivers a powerful kick, sending Ming sprawling to the ground. As Ming rises, he curses his luck at encountering a wandering type of player. Jay relentlessly continues to assault Ming, goading him to fight back and taunting him with the option of slowing down to give Ming a chance or treating him as a punching bag. Ming questions his own strength, pondering how he managed to defeat Lao Huang. Jay halts, reminding Ming that he knocked out Lao with a single punch and warns that there won't be an opportunity for a rematch if they continue fighting. As Jay mocks Ming for being a new player, his expression suddenly becomes serious, declaring his intention to teach Ming a lesson as his senior. Jay charges at Ming, advising him never to reveal his true strength to an opponent. In a surprising turn, Ming smiles and hurls a plastic bottle at Jay, who catches it dismissively, only to be taken aback when the bottle explodes in his face. Fei is astonished, questioning whether Ming possesses magical abilities. Enraged and injured, Jay vows to kill Ming, but amid the smoke from the explosion, Ming seizes the opportunity to strike back. Startled by Ming's speed, Fei warns Jay, who narrowly dodges Ming's punch. Annoyed, Jay demands to know Ming's profession, prompting Ming to produce another bottle and question Jay's forgetfulness about revealing one's true strength. As Jay attacks, Ming throws another bottle, concealing a stone inside, which catches Jay off guard. Jay continues to mock Ming, claiming that he can only evade, but his confidence wanes as Ming unleashes more bottles, causing significant damage. Ming asserts that Jay should never underestimate an opponent, delivering a powerful punch that incapacitates Jay. The system displays a message announcing Ming's level up and all points. As Ming marvels at Ming's victory, Ming confidently invites him to discuss financial matters. Jay was lying on the floor unconscious from Ming's punch. Ming starts clapping and says even though this battle was his party's loss, but it was an excellent show. Ming laughs and says Meng was over-exaggerating things and he just won because he was slightly luckier. Meng says he don't have to be so humble, and even though Meng roughly knows what tricks Ming used, but he wants to know more about what the metal inside the plastic bottle was and how did Ming make it explode. Ming says that it was just a normal sodium metal. Meng gets surprised. Ming further explains that sodium metal would react and explode after coming in contact with water, and it was common sense and all the high schoolers know it, so on the way to the office he purchased 6 water bottles from the convenience store. Meng stops him and asks that before throwing the bottle he didn't see Ming put anything inside the bottle unless he placed it beforehand, but sodium explode when coming in contact with water. Ming laughs and says Meng was smart and he just needs to empty a portion of water and then use a double tap to stick the sodium metal on the bottle cap, then close the bottle and you won't have to be afraid of the metal coming in contact with the water. Ming further explains that even though the water and sodium ratio is less and was not enough to deal heavy damage, but it will make the opponent surprise and make them think he was a flame user or magician, and because the explosion was small, the shockwave and smoke will spread. The smoke will also help to disturb the opponent's eyesight and you can launch sneak attacks. Meng nods and asks how Ming got sodium metals and it wasn't that they sell it in a convenience store. Ming laughs and says that Meng sure have many questions and asks if Meng have bad memories and reminds him that his company was located at the Huagong market. Meng gets shocked and thinks if Ming plotted it from the start. Meng says that Ming sure makes him gain new knowledge. Ming laughs and thanks Meng for the compliment. Meng says when Ming entered the office, he acted weak and stupid, purposely getting attacked and to make people look down on him and make them careless. Ming laughs nervously and thinks that he didn't act that way, but it was the skill that the system gave him. He says that using opponents' carelessness and skill got him lucky to win. Meng says that if Jay didn't fall for Ming's tricks, he was unable to defeat him with Ming's combat abilities, and he looked like Ming came to negotiate, but he actually came prepared to fight in case Ming didn't go with what Ming wanted. Ming says that he really wishes to settle this peacefully, but he was not naive to come to the place empty-handed without preparations. After he beat Meng's people, Ming knew he won't let him off easily. Meng tisks and says Ming was cunning for his young age. Ming blushes and thanks him for the compliment again. Meng says Ming was smart and cunning and he really awaits to see Ming's growth as a player in this world. Ming asks about the debt and Ming tells him not to worry since he always keeps his words. He sits on the chair and tells Ming to talk about the debt's extension duration. After a while, Ming shouts what and asks 3 days only, and how would he get 3.5 million in such short amount of time. Meng tells Ming not to shout and says that his ears were almost numb because of his shouting. He asks Ming wasn't he a player and says that he can just go in dungeons in these 3 days and earn 3.5 million easily. Ming then rants about how he awakened just recently and is not qualified enough to participate in player qualification tests, and he can't even join a guild because of that. Meng, sitting on his chair, smirks and says that all those excuses are not his problem and informs Ming about the player level rating and suggests to better grab that opportunity and arrange the money as soon as possible. Meng then passes his business card to Ming so that he could contact him once the money is arranged. Meng watches Ming leave and a man from behind asks if they were really going to let him go and what about the money. Meng tells him not to worry and that Ming can pay that money in time, and he saw something unbelievable in Ming. Ming returns home and her mother tells him to go and wash his hands and come to eat and suggests him not to go running around when his wounds weren't healed. Tao says that debt collectors came and she wasn't home. Ming was the one who chased them away. Their aunt gets shocked and says in anger that it was all because of Bai Zion and tells Ming to not care about this and that they don't have to pay for that money. Ming says that it wasn't a small amount and tells them that it was 3.5 million and he don't think they will let them off easily. They both get shocked. Ming tells them not to worry and that he has already talked with them and once he becomes a player, he can earn money quickly and pay them. His aunt slams the table and refuses to allow him to become a player. She tells Ming that his parents went missing after becoming players. Ming gets shocked and asks what was going on and didn't she say that his parents died in some accident. She tells him that his parents were players in the past and it was 20 years ago and Ming was just only 1 year old and they asked her to look after Ming, saying they were going on a long trip, and even though she knew they were summoned by the government to join that joint operation to raid dungeons and these kind of things happened before. If it was normal dungeons then there was no need to keep things secret, but his parents never returned and a year ago after they went missing, government's player supervision team came and notified that their parents went missing. She says that she didn't tell him for these years because she was worried that Ming will walk on the same path as his parents. She tells him not to go and become a player, and regarding the money she will think of a way. During the night, Ming tries to sleep but he just keeps rolling around and can't sleep. He gets us annoyed and thinks that he didn't expect his parents to be players, and if he didn't want to become a player his aunt would have never told him the truth. According to his aunt, after the incident she also looked for the government and relevant department but couldn't find anything or any news regarding his parents' disappearance, and even the guild they were at acted as they never existed and had their name removed. He thinks about what raid mission was it which caused them to go missing 20 years. Suddenly all his childhood memories come in his mind when he was getting bullied for being an abandoned child. He gets annoyed and vents saying them to get lost. He lays back on the bed and thinks what he should do, and then his eyes fall on the card which Meng gave him. Meng receives a call and he picks up and asks who it was, and Ming says that it was him. Meng asks him what happened. Ming says that he heard that they were good at collecting information, so he wants to request Meng to help him check 2 players' information about 20 years ago. Meng agrees and says that it will cost 200,000 and if they can't find anything then they will return half of the amount. Ming cuts the call and then looks in despair, saying it was money again, and rants that most problems occur when you're poor. He sits with a serious look and apologizes to his aunt and says that he must become a player. Somewhere in an apartment, a phone rings, someone picks the call and says it was so late and asks why his boss was still not asleep. The person on the call shouts at Mojai saying the season's new player exam is starting on Monday and he better open his eyes, and if he still can't scout and recruit people, he will kill Mojai. Mojai tells boss to relax and not worry, and this time he will definitely bring him a strong one. On Monday afternoon, at the Players Center, Ming gets surprised to see so many people there and says that it was crowded more than wet markets in the morning. He looks around and thinks that he has to ask someone for directions so he can find where the player's exam report area was. He calls a man handsome and apologizes to disturb him and asks where the new player's exam area was at. Mojai turns around and looks at Ming with a serious look. He pats Ming's shoulders with a smile and says he really was a genius and he didn't expect Ming to see through his handsomeness when he was wearing normal clothes. Ming smiles nervously and asks for the player's exam report area. Mojai asks if he was a new player that came for the exam and point at the other side, saying it was over there at the side door, and where they were at was the old player's re-rank entrance, and because it happens once in every 3 months thus there were many people. He says that Ming can find the staff there and fill the form and get registered, then he can enter the exam. Ming waves at Mo and says he will get going now as he leaves. Mojai waves back wishing him good luck and says he must become a player. He then slowly put his hand down and sighs, saying Ming was so weak yet he came for the exam, and this time's player also might be a bad batch, and it seemed like even God wants to fail Mojai. A taxi stops there and Jang Mao steps out of it and asks if it wasn't Tiger Ben, guild's co-leader in Mojai. He mocks Mojai, saying his guild can't even get any raid mission, and suggests that they should disband the guild. Mojai counters by saying that he heard the dungeon cave collapse because of Jang and asks how much money did Shan Jin lost, and states that it was in a rank dungeon. Jang gets triggered and says Mo-Jai should worry about his guild and advises him not to follow the wrong person and suggests him to join their guild and leave that trash guild of his. Mo-Jai shrugs and says he was a human and don't like to stay with weirdos and says that anyone can tell Jang was a weirdo from his look. Jang gets triggered and asks if Mo-Jai wished to fight. Suddenly a person orders them to stop and they both feel an immense pressure, which was a S rank. Xing Hongqi, the clan leader of the Wind Thunder Guild, tells them if they fight at the player center's entrance then they will be chased away by the staff and the outcome will look bad. He suggests that everyone was seeking talented individuals for their guild so not to fight. At the other side, Mingyu registers himself and gets his number tag. The instructor tells him to enter from there and after passing the main door Ming will enter the exam area. Ming stands in front of the door and filled with energy and excitement goes to enter the gate and suddenly he receives a notification from the system. The notification was that because he never obtained all points for a long period of time, system will punish Ming and thus his luck drops by 50. Ming gets shocked to see the message and shouts. Ming sees the notification and curses the stupid system. He threatens the author for what kind of punishment was this and says that the author thought of the punishment casually and it must be a random idea. He rants saying how can he do this to Ming and says that he was the main character and not the side character and why must he face this. He says that it was an action comic and not a comedy one. Suddenly the PA system announces on the speaker that the new player's exam was about to start and tells that new player who have not entered to hurry and quickly enter the arena. Ming calms himself and says that there was nothing he could do and he must bear with it for now. He enters the arena thinking even though his luck was reduced by 50 he doesn't know the total point of his luck and if it was 1000 then 50 doesn't count much and it won't be a big deal. He walks inside the ring and thinks that he shouldn't scare himself and the situation might not be as bad as he thinks. He suddenly trips on a rock and falls on the ground. A man asks Ming if he was alright. He stands up and says he was fine. Ming thinks that he luckily added 20 strength points previously and if not then he would have become the history's fastest new player to be eliminated, but it also showed that his situation might be even worse than he thought. The guy says if Ming was fine then quickly stand up since the exam was about to start and he wonders who's their examiner. The other candidate says that he doesn't care who the examiner was and he just hope it was not Hai Lai. Ming asks them who is Hai Lai and why there be no problem if it's not her. The guy says Ming came to participate when he didn't even do research on the exam. He tells him that Lai City's player center has a total of 3 S-rank magician examiners. First was Mo Wen, second was Wang Lin and the third was Hai Lai. They will be randomly arranged to be morning, afternoon and night rounds examiner. The other one says that even though it's an exam but it's only a job so the other two would be lenient, but Hai Lai was different. He says she was a pervert. Ming gets shocked and asks if he means that she was the kind of people who whips and the sadistic one. He says that Ming might not be wrong to think that but she was very strict and she tortured the participants. He explains that normally an exam of 50 people. Other examiner at most eliminates 10 people each round but if it was Hai Lai then 10 was the count of people who would pass in the end. The other guy laughs and says that his examiner was Hai Lai in the last season and by chance if he met her again this time then his luck sure is bad. Ming gets scared and thinks that he was doomed and the chances of her being their examiner was the same as last year and with his current luck, he would be lucky if Ming don't meet Hai Lai as examiner. A participant asks the staff when the exam was starting and why the examiner was not there yet. The support staff told them to be patient and that the examiner was coming soon. A lady stands at the top of the stadium saying it seemed that her cuties can't wait so she should hurry and start. She jumps off the top and lands in the middle of the arena. Hai Lai comes out of the smoke with a whip in her hand asking if they all were ready to receive her lovely teaching. The guy cries and asks what did he do wrong and why it was Hai Lai again. Ning puts his palm on his head and says that it was his fault and apologizes. The other guy says why they were so scared from just one Hai Lai and players should always give their all. The other candidate looks at her with a perverted expression and says they should not be scared and should give it their all no matter what challenges they face. At the auditorium number 3, Jang sits on a chair and says that Hai Lai was the examiner for this round and that group was doomed. Mo-Jai says that number 1 second aura doesn't seem bad. Jang shouted why was Mo-Jai in the same room as him. Jang says that number 1 was from the country's Tachuan family and their combat ability was around B rank. But Mo-Jai don't have to think about him because Jang's clan leader had already paid high amount of money and once he gets the player certificate he will join their guild right away. Mo-Jai says that it was only 1 and whether he can pass with Hai Lai as his examiner is still uncertain. Jang says that chatting like this was boring and suggests why don't they make a bet. Mo asks what kind of bet. Jang shows a crystal and says he has a 2 kilograms of high-quality spiritual crystal worth 200,000 prepared to give number 1 after he finishes the exam as a congratulatory gift. He says to bet whether he can smoothly pass or not. Jang says if number 1 fails then this crystal will belong to Mo-Jai, and if he passed then Mo would have to bark like a dog 3 times. Mo-Jai agrees on the bet. Hai Lai announces the exam rules. She says that for the next 30 minutes she will use magic to attack all of them continuously, and they can dodge, defend, heal or fight head-on. They just need to survive 30 minutes to enter next round, and once they lose consciousness or steps out of the arena they will be disqualified immediately. She orders the test staff, and she uses her skill to create a boundary and activates the area sensor. Ming says that he felt something passing through his body. Number 42 tells him that it was a large-scale precipitation magic to monitor the player's movements, so if any accident occurs, they can solve it. Hai Lai smirks and says to begin. She uses her skill and shoots a beam in the sky which explodes like a firework, attacking everybody within the arena. Ming gets surprised and says it was such a big firework, and player 42 tells him that it was an area attack and tells them to be prepared and dodge the attack. The players one by one start getting hit, and player 38 swiftly dodges each hit while dancing. Player 42 uses his magic powers and creates a stone wall. 38 gets surprised and asks why he was using magic and wasn't he a tank. 42 says that he was a 30-year-old magician and tells them to hide behind his stone wall and survive the round. Ming thanks him and rushes towards the wall. He thinks that the strength attribute not only increases the attack power but also increase the burst power, and he just need to focus and accumulate the power at his leg and use the strength, and he can directly jump over to the wall. He jumps and suddenly gets hit by an incoming projectile. He falls on the ground and starts crying for his bad luck. All 3 of them sit behind the wall, and Ming says that it wasn't an exam but a hellish battlefield. Jiang exclaims and says that this clearly is a battlefield, and asks his partner shouldn't the players go through an appraisal crystal in which one beep and the player ranks are graded. He replies that who does he think he is and if he has read too many comics, to which Jiang replies that he has never read any comic and isn't any type of nerd. He further asks if these kind of battleground tests are necessary and that they are very basic. His partner replies that the warriors are distributed into 3 types: warrior, ranger and magician, and asks him how will their abilities be graded without testing them on the battleground. He replies confused that isn't the abilities graded on the quality of the awakening stone. Another man replies that it's just the surface level grading and the exam grades on the basis of real combat abilities. He agrees and says that during a fight, for example, the awakening stone is like a weapon for the user, and the stronger the weapon more the damage, but it doesn't matter how strong the weapon is, it doesn't matter if the warrior doesn't know how to fight or use it. If a rookie player cannot find a weak point of the monster or keeps missing the attacks or even lacks footwork and focus, then he won't be able to deal full damage and cannot use the awakening stone to its full potential, and sooner or later they will die. That's why it is important to grade them on the basis of their combat ability and their ability to survive, because that's the true power of a warrior. He further explains that if the grading is just on the basis of awakening stone, then most players with no or little combat abilities will pass through and eventually become cannon fodders and will be sacrificed in vain. Jiang agrees, and he further explains that according to his knowledge most countries treat the exam quite seriously, but Hai Lai is indeed very strict. The other man exclaims that this isn't the right time to talk as something hits the stone slab they're hiding behind and little rocks break from the top. He says that they shouldn't worry because he used the same trick to pass last time, as he peeps through the side of the barrier and asks hesitatingly if it can withhold that level of firepower. His partner looks too with confidence, claiming that it can easily withstand this kind of firepower and this is normal, but is shocked when he sees the balls of fire heading towards them. It hits the stone, it is blown to smithereens. Hai Lai's assistant sees through her goggles and says that her power gathered at 30% in the 12 o'clock direction and asks if she's able to split and direct her firepower. She replies that it's not her doing and she never controls her shots and they seem to be directed by something that's present over there. Broom asks if this is what he calls normal firepower. He replies shouting that how is this considered normal power and why are they treating them as bosses, and is focusing all her firepower on them and asks if any one of them offended her. They point at Jiang and exclaim that he was the one who was looking at her breasts like a pervert. He thinks that he is guilty and it definitely came for him and they won't let him go away so easily. As they are talking, another shot hits the rock and it breaks apart. Broom sees this and shouts to them to run. Jiang sees a rock headed directly for Broom and pushes him away. They get up and Jiang says that if he hadn't pushed him in time he would have been hit. Broom gets up with blood on his head and says that he should not push him from next time and being hit wouldn't be so bad. He shouts why aren't they running and can't they see the shots heading towards them. They get up quickly and run for their life with full strength. Broom asks why is she so angry with just him looking at her breasts and if she would kill them just for this reason. Jiang says that the shots are directed towards him and not them. Broom asks what did he do to deserve so and he replies that he will explain it afterwards and further says that since they are coming for him, he will lure them away. He asks the other guy how much time is left in the end of the first round, to which he replies around 10 minutes and says to him that he cannot run for 10 minutes with the fire bullets coming towards him. He replies that he will, but he has to give himself a magic buff because his speed is good but his flexibility is very poor. He replies that it will be no problem but the buff won't last for too long. Jiang agrees and he deploys his enhanced magic. Suddenly all the points of Jiang are increased as he runs even faster and orders them to spread out. There is a system notification which reads that luring bullets away from others is a quick way of increasing all points. He thinks that luring bullets to hit others is the easiest and fastest way to obtain all points and also eliminate other players. He thinks that he doesn't know what the second round is, but the other guy said that only 10 players from first round will be selected, so if he manages to eliminate other players the situation will be good for him, but using such disgusting tricks to pass will not make him a good player. A girl looking at her shield is worried and realizes her magic power is about to run out and she won't be able to keep up the shield if that happens, and contemplates if she's too weak to become a player when she suddenly sees a thick beam of fire heading towards her way. She starts sobbing and says if this hit her then her shield will definitely be broken, but she's pushed out of the way by Jiang running towards her saying to let him pass through. She is pushed aside and exclaims that he almost made her hit the thick long beam, but she realizes that he lured it away and asks herself if he's helping her. He continues to push everyone out of the way and lure the fire bullets towards him. Some more people see this and say that he lured them all towards him. Another girl says that even when he's so weak and she didn't feel any mana from him, he was able to lure them all and help them, and if he gets hit by them then he will definitely be disqualified. The girl from earlier says that since he is helping them, they should help him in return. She further asks them that he might be the weakest one among them and why should they let someone weaker help them, so they should help in return. Everyone agrees and every one of them deploy their buff magic for him. He is surprised to see his stats increase suddenly. Another notification pops up and says that he has received 10 all points. He looks confused and asks he didn't lure the bullets to hit people, then why did he get the points, to which the screen read that they admired his help and all points can also be earned by doing this. He smiles and says if that's the case then he will lure even more as he continues running through the battlefield and luring all the beams and continues to level up and earn all points. At another corner of the battlefield a man scared asks a guy why he's killing other people and if he isn't afraid of being disqualified. The guy swings his sword and replies he is only cutting off their arms and legs and not killing them. He says that the second round is the elimination round and they are going to need elimination points, to which the man replies that he can eliminate them even by making them faint or making them leave the battleground. He says that there has been a lot of players and there is no place for weaklings and the authorities didn't prevent it as well. He counts the people and says to that man that he will be the 7th one as he rushes and cuts his arms off with martial skill black magic Dharma slash. The guy says to the people in front of him that who among them wants to come at him first. Number 3 afraid says that he gives up and he can tell the authorities he eliminated him as he drops his weapon, but number 1 doesn't stop and cuts his arm anyways as he moves towards another girl, and as he is about to attack her, Jiang comes rushing and punches him in the side of his face. Number 1 gets back up and angrily says how dare he attack him sneakily, to which Jiang replies that it was a clear side punch. He thinks that why didn't he sense any magical power from Jiang. As he's thinking about this, Jiang says that the main dish is arriving as all the bullets he had lured bomb up on him. Everyone looks at the huge blast and ask each other what happened. Someone says that the guy lured all the bullets from everyone and bombed it upon one guy who was eliminating people and cutting off their hands and limbs. Number 42 says that with so much firepower that guy will most likely be eliminated. Jiang says that he didn't receive any awe points from hitting him and if he's so emotionless when suddenly he realizes. From amid the smoke, number 1 comes out swinging his sword, and as he's about to hit Jiang there is an announcement that the first round ends. He stops right before his neck and says that he's quite lucky but he should be ready because he will come after him in the second round. Jiang sits down and thinks that he wanted to take him out by the bullets but now he is targeted by him. But he's happy to realize that he has got some extra points, adding the attributes he received by leveling up. He thinks that number 1 is a wanderer type, so adding all the 16 points to agility will help him keep up with his speed. But he doesn't have any combat skills, so he can only choose to fight in close combat and make him run out of stamina and have to dodge his sword. His partner from earlier comes and sits next to him and asks if he wants to give up and says that he is already awesome but being targeted by a B rank isn't anything good. Jiang replies that he knows but he has his own reasons to not give up. The man replies that he is quite stubborn and he was the weakest one in round 1 but he sure does like to flex. He takes out a gray crystal and says that since it was fate that made them meet, he bought a crystal which has 3 types of beginner skills inside and they can be learnt by holding it in your hand. He further explains that they can only learn their profession skills and it might help him in some way. Jiang looks skeptical about this and asks if he's playing any tricks on him as he holds it in his hand. He focuses and a menu pops up listing the 3 different types of skills he can learn. He gets happy when he realizes that system doesn't have any profession restrictions, so he can learn as many skills as he wants no matter whatever the profession. And since his system has only trash skills, he will learn it all as the menu asks if he wants to learn them. He quite excitedly agrees and says he wants to learn it all. but only one skill is learnt and 2 are failed. He reads that he needs at least 20 attribute points and says that adding randomly is not the correct way. He tells the system to add points to agility and mental spirit and make it 20 for now and leave the rest of the points as it is. The other 2 skills are now learnt. He says to himself, let's test how strong the B rank truly is and if he can withstand his new skills, and he's dead meat now. Hai Lai is ready to announce the rules of the second round. She explains that the second round is elimination round and players will get points eliminating other players, and eliminating one player equals 1 point. She further explains that the first round eliminations are now effective and their points are reduced to 0. Eliminating a B rank will give them 10 points, C rank 7 points, D rank 3 points, and E rank equals 0 points, and lastly no one is allowed to kill others as she says to begin. Number 1 shouts to Jiang to come and fight him as soon as the round begins. Jiang attacks Number 1 and shoots him away. He gets up with the right side of his head burnt and says how dare he toy with him by just attacking with weak punches, and threatens to cripple him. He shouts at Jiang to attack him with his weak punches and he can keep dreaming of defeating him when suddenly the announcer says that Number 1 is disqualified. He looks shocked and asks her if she's blind and what was the basis of his disqualification since he didn't go down. Jiang laughs and says that he is the one who is blind, and not just blind but also idiotic, and asks him to look where his right foot was. He looks down to find that he is standing outside the battleground. Broom shouts that he's stepped out of the ground and he's eliminated. The girl numbered 48 whom Jiang saved earlier is surprised to see how he eliminated him. Number 1 thinks to himself that he injured his right eye not to stop him from attacking but to lose his sense of surroundings. He then pressured him to the edge of the battleground and hit him so that he steps out of the ground. Jiang says to him how is he feeling. He lost the moment he let his anger take over. He further mocks him by saying his IQ is so low that's why he uses physical strength, and this is what happens when you don't use your brain often. He walks away saying that next time he should think before taking any action and waves him goodbye. His partner proudly says that he won and he's amazing. Another guy says that he won but doesn't mean he won with glory, to which he replies that if that's the case then he should go and fight him. 2 people are watching the match and one of them tosses a red crystal and says Number 1 lost in a pitiful way and he will take the spirit stone since he is rich. The other guy furiously tells him to take it and just go. He thinks to himself that this Tachuan Manhwa is so trash, and still he recommended him to the leader. He further thinks why does number 50 look so familiar when he realizes he is the guy from the dungeon. Jiang receives a notification of leveling up and it displays an upgrade reward. He thinks that last time it only gave him a weakling's aura and this time should be different. He bows before the screen and asks the system to give him something more powerful this time, as everyone looks at him confused as to what was his celebration. Broom says that he is overjoyed with happiness and just created a celebration. The screen displays upgrade reward received Spirit Soul Shock. He looks confused and says it doesn't look bad but exclaims as to why the duration of the skill was so short and was the cooldown so long. He sighs and says it doesn't matter, at least it isn't something weak like last time. Number 1 is also watching this and furiously says that he hasn't won yet and used tricks on him. He rushes to attack Jiang from behind. His partner warns him and shouts at him to look behind. He looks back and says he's smarter than him as he activates Spirit Soul Shock. Number 1 is scared and asks what is that pressure he is feeling. The pressure that should only come from a S rank, as Jiang grabs his hand and burns it while saying this is how he must have felt when he cut other people's arms off. He mercilessly kicks him away and calls him a dog and continues beating him up. He jumps right in front of him and kicks him on the shoulder, making him kneel on the ground. Number 1 screams. Everyone looks at him shocked as Jiang says to him that since he was backstabbing just now with a killing intention. He charges his fist with flames and says that he shouldn't blame him now, but as he's about to hit him, Hai Lai stops Jiang and says that this is enough and if he hits him with the punch he will surely die and Jiang would be disqualified. He gets up menacingly, looks at Hai Lai and asks if she's threatening him. Jiang looks at Hai Lai and asks if she's threatening him, to which she replies that this exam area is her territory and she makes the rules here, and also, she's not the one threatening him, rather this guy's family. The Tachuan family has large influence over the country both in business and political and is a large organization. She further tells him if he kills this guy then the Tachuan family will surely get revenge from him. He replies that the examiner sure is caring, but if he let go of that guy then he will attack him again and his life will be in danger, to which she replies that it's at least better than the whole family coming after him, and asks him if he thinks he has the ability to fight the whole Tachuan family on his own, and if so, he must go through her first. Broom says that's just bullying people and exclaims that's why he was so arrogant, because he was from the Tachuan family and even Hai Lai has to help them out. Jiang thinks that Spirit Soul Shock has also gone into cooldown and he can no longer kill him in front of Hai Lai, and she's indeed right. He was too overwhelmed by emotions, and if Hai Lai didn't stop him the whole Tachuan family would be coming after him. He says that he doesn't have the ability to fight the examiner and he will let him go since she said so, and further tells her to let go of the whip. She orders the exam to continue and the medical team to carry the guy out of the battleground. He thinks that even though Hai Lai pressured him, still she was protecting him from bigger trouble. He says that he's still too weak, and in this player world only the strong ones are the kings, and if he becomes strong enough, he doesn't have to care about the trashed Chuan family. The exam ends and everyone lets out a sigh of relief. The examiner tells the player who have passed to pass in order and head over to the Redeem Center to get their player certificate. Jiang looks at his certificate and says that he did it even though he is just an E rank, he will still be able to join guilds. He feels like tons of spirit stones are waving at him. He opens the system screen and says that he has earned a lot of all points, especially from that Dechuan. He was like an X gift package, giving him total 200 points. He sees that he has reached level 12 and has 12 attribute points still left, but he isn't going to use it now and will use it in special need. His system skills are able to upgrade by spirit stones, but he should try it out once he gets few spirit stones. Who knows if the effect will be 2 or more times better. He thinks that his combat ability must be C rank, defeating Dechuan at most, but because he was lucky and he underestimated him. He further thinks that he won't let go of him that easily, and he has shown all of his skills. If he met him again, no matter how stupid he is, he will surely come up with counterattacks, and also if he doesn't obtain all points in a long time, the system will also punish him. New guilds are recruiting next week, so he must think of some ways to obtain all points. As he's thinking, a hand comes on his shoulder and a familiar voice asks him why he's upset. It's his partner from earlier. He looks at his certificate and says E-certificate isn't bad and he's only a D rank himself. Broom also joins them and asks since they got their certificate they should go to celebrate. Jiang hesitatingly says that if this more than $5 he can't go, to which they reply that he doesn't need to spend any money and also he can earn some. A butler is standing beside the bed on which Dechuan lies in bandages. He says that the medical team has been informed and asks if he should report the matter to the leader. Dechuan angrily refuses and says that they will think he was defeated by the weakest person and will bring shame to Dechuan family. He asks the butler how long will it take for his wounds to heal, to which he replies if treated daily his wounds will heal completely in a week. He orders the servant to find about Jiang's background and to deploy one a rank ninja in this week. Jiang and his friends reach a forest and he asks confused why have they come in the wild for the celebration. He asks if Jiang knows about wild dungeons, to which he refuses, and he explains that these are weak dungeons with less danger and less rewards, and since the government doesn't regulate them, players can form a team and raid them. Jiang thinks that this is the perfect way to earn not only all points but also money. A girl comes out from behind a tree and says that Broom is not bad since he is a D rank, but Jiang doesn't have any magical mana. She explains that after the raid the resources are distributed according to amount of work an individual has done, so he should not slack off. Jiang excitedly asks her more work means more money, right, as they get ready to go inside. At the Lu City Player Center, Hai Lai knocked on the president's office door. Greeting her teacher, she inquired about the emergency meeting scheduled for the afternoon and sought information on the plans of the Cassation Guild members. The president, Su Jinnan, an S-ranked player, commended Hai Lai for her excellent work in monitoring and examining the new season's player exam. President Su Jinnan shared concerning news about the increasing boldness of an evil cult organization leading to player assaults nationwide. The headquarters responded by instructing cooperation with the Guild Association for a thorough background check on all guild members. Despite an investigation into the collapsed dungeon of Shangjin, no suspicious activity was found, but now a new threat in the form of an evil cult had emerged. Hai Lai approached the president to share data on a player named Jiang Mingyu. The president, reviewing Jiang Mingyu's information, questioned whether Hai Lai had rated his rank too strictly. Hai Lai urged the president to watch the video of Jiang Mingyu's battle process, emphasizing that it had been emailed to him. As the president viewed the video, he was astonished by Jiang Mingyu's use of the blazing flame magic bullet, and his resilient golden body defiance against Dechuan's sword. The president, shocked, labeled Jiang Mingyu as a potential world-class cheater. Hai Lai admitted her own surprise at Jiang Mingyu's actions during the exam and acknowledged that she almost made a big mistake. Concerned, she asked the president if they should report the situation to the higher-ups. However, the president advised Hai Lai to hold off on the report for now, citing Jiang Mingyu's current weakness. Revealing the information could lead to him being targeted and killed by cheaters from other countries. Hai Lai expressed her concern about the potential leakage of Jiang Mingyu's cheater identity once he joined a guild. In response, the president handed Hai Lai an energy stone and instructed her to dispatch individuals to provide information and a video of Jiang Mingyu to the Tiger Bend Guild. He framed it as aiding a deceased person a small favor. Frustrated by the wait for a team to join them, Hai Lai reluctantly accepted players to fill their team temporarily. Meanwhile, the newly introduced girl Su Yuting, a B-rank warrior, took the lead. She informed them of their plan to raid a D-rank dungeon and requested the team members to register their personal information, specifically their professions, for strategic planning. Jiang Mingyu, curious, asked Su Yuting about information registration and its purpose. As Su Yuting snapped a photo of Jiang Mingyu's face, she explained that since wild dungeons weren't government-covered, leaving records of players' information was crucial for insurance in case of any incidents. Jiang Mingyu's face and details were registered, revealing him as an E rank. Su Yuting then prompted the team to prepare for their dungeon exploration. Jiang Mingyu stepped into the dungeon, experiencing it as a player, no longer a miner. Surveying the surroundings, he marveled at the dungeon monster's appearance. As they entered, the D-rank goblin's nest was already in sight, guarded by D-rank goblins overseeing the resources. Su Yuting wasted no time instructing the team to prepare for a fight. She warned about the approximately 30 goblins scattered throughout the dungeon, intending to make her move. However, before she could finish her instructions, Jiang Mingyu impulsively attacked the goblins. He assured Su Yuting that he could handle the D-rank goblins alone, urging her to take a break and manage the situation later. Frustrated, Su Yuting scolded Jiang Mingyu for not following orders and taking matters into his own hands. The two players exchanged looks and decided to join the action. A white-haired player advised his senior to swiftly eliminate the goblins before Jiang Mingyu wiped them all out, gaining recognition and rewards. The senior regretted bringing Jiang Mingyu along, as his rapid goblin-killing prowess left little for the rest. Su Yuting, mocking the two players, compared them to dogs and suggested they were like individuals who had never seen money. Rushing into action, the trio began dispatching the goblins, with Su Yuting reminding them to leave some for her to eliminate. Su Yuting, infuriated by having only killed 3 goblins in the low-ranked monster's nest due to her teammates' swift actions, scolded and even gave a few head punches to the players. Undeterred, they continued eliminating goblins. The white-haired player took down 10, the senior managed 5, while Jiang Mingyu dominated with 15 kills. Jiang Mingyu, pleased with the prospect of accumulating beginner-rank spirit stones, planned to grind and amass them for sale. As Jiang Mingyu farmed, the Abyss system prompted him to consider upgrading his skills. Surprised by this revelation, he deliberated on whether upgrading both skills would reveal a noticeable difference to his teammates. Opting for caution, he decided to upgrade the weakening aura first, anticipating increased usefulness. The upgrade succeeded, but a 30-minute wait was required for completion. While Jiang Mingyu was engrossed in his thoughts, Su Yuting called him to move on to the next monster's nest. She cautioned her teammates about the narrowing path and the increased number of spirit stones, signaling the proximity of the monster's second nest. The white-haired player expressed his excitement at the prospect of becoming rich from the abundant spirit stones in the dungeon. Entering the second monster's nest, the team encountered a multitude of spiders to eliminate before collecting the spirit stones. However, their leader Su Yuting began behaving strangely, catching the attention of her teammates, who called out to her. Su Yuting continued to speak in incomprehensible words and displayed odd behavior, leaving the players bewildered. The white-haired player initially assumed she was playing a prank, pretending to scare them with her strange act. However, Jiang Mingyu, observant, prevented the white-haired player from getting closer, sensing that something was amiss. To their astonishment, Su Yuting took a defensive stance, gripping her weapon as if preparing to attack the players. As they gazed at her, they noticed a dramatic change in her appearance from when they entered the second nest. Her eyes turned red and veins protruded on her neck. The players were shocked to witness their leader transform into something resembling a monster. Puzzled and concerned, the 3 players couldn't comprehend why Su Yuting had suddenly changed and started acting abnormally. Jiang Mingyu, frustrated by the situation, realized that whatever was happening to her was far from normal and eerily reminiscent of an incident that occurred shortly after they entered the dungeon. As Su Yuting brandished her weapon and charged toward her teammates ready to attack, shock enveloped the players. They urgently called out to their other teammates, warning them to dodge the impending assault to avoid injuries. Jiang Mingyu narrowly evaded the attack, but the players successfully dodged without harm. The bewildered teammates couldn't fathom why their leader persistently attacked them. Su Yuting continued her onslaught, leaving Jiang Mingyu and the others perplexed and concerned. In a sudden move, Su Yuting targeted Jiang Mingyu, delivering a powerful kick to his head. The forceful blow left him seriously hurt, and he began to believe that Su Yuting was genuinely attempting to harm him without reservation. As Su Yuting prepared to follow up with another attack, Jiang Mingyu swiftly summoned his blazing flame magic bullet to defend himself. The flaming defense halted Su Yuting's assault, allowing Jiang Mingyu to redirect his attack toward her. Desperate to break her free from whatever control she seemed to be under, Jiang Mingyu aimed his blazing fire magic bullet at Su Yuting, urging her to snap out of it. However, even with all his strength behind the attack, the magic bullet only dealt minor damage, defending against Jiang Mingyu's counterattack. Barely surviving Su Yuting's attack, Jiang Mingyu observed something unusual. There was a spider web string on Su Yuting's back. The white-haired player speculated that Su Yuting attacked them out of greed, driven by the desire to claim all the spirit crystals for herself. He believed the rumors about a B-rank warrior ruthlessly bringing down others to raid dungeons were true. In Su Yuting's defense, the senior argued that she wouldn't risk killing them for the sake of spirit crystals, considering her background. He suggested that she might be under an illusion or control, especially since she used her skills against Jiang Mingyu, which could have been lethal. Finally catching on, Jiang Mingyu realized Su Yuting's strangeness. He noted that she had engaged him solely in close combat, avoiding the use of her skills, unlike what she would have done if she genuinely intended to kill him. This led him to believe that Su Yuting might have forgotten to use her skills, perhaps assuming that she was dealing with a novice warrior. After careful consideration, Jiang Mingyu came to the realization that Su Yuting was being controlled by a spider. The white-haired player initially thought she was under an illusion, but Jiang Mingyu clarified that their leader was not and their assumption was incorrect. He explained that Su Yuting's lack of skill usage even in close combat indicated a form of control, likely by a spider from the second nest of the dungeon. Jiang Mingyu emphasized that Su Yuting, despite holding back, targeted vital points and exuded a strong killing intent. He theorized that the spider couldn't control her to use skills, restricting it to physical attacks. As he unleashed his blazing fire magic bullet, he spotted a spider web on the back of Su Yuting's nape, serving as the conduit for control. Bai Mao suggested cutting off the spider web to free Su Yuting, but Jiang Mingyu believed it wouldn't be easy since the web had endured throughout the earlier struggle. Facing an increasing number of spiders, the three of them needed to devise an escape plan. Jiang Mingyu instructed Kayan to use magic to create distance, leveraging the spider's fear of fire. Bai Mao took on the task of killing the spiders, assisting Kayan in preventing them from getting too close. The team collaborated to navigate the dangerous situation presented by the spiders and the controlled Su Yuting. Jiang Mingyu took charge, announcing to the others that he would handle their controlled leader. With determination, he rushed towards Su Yuting, unleashing a barrage of blazing flame magic bullets in rapid succession, mirroring his strategy from the player's exam. However, Su Yuting expertly defended against every rapid-fire assault and magic bullet, emerging unscathed. Observing the situation, Jiang Mingyu decided to target the spider web directly. Summoning the absolute accuracy blazing flame magic bullet, he aimed for Su Yuting's back, catching her off guard. The powerful explosion that followed nearly freed her from the controlling spider web. Kayan, growing anxious, inquired if Jiang Mingyu had succeeded in dealing with Su Yuting as the team struggled to fend off the increasing number of spiders. As the smoke cleared after the explosion, Su Yuting remained standing, surviving the attack. However, her anger flared as she managed to evade the damage to the spider web by turning her body. The remnants of her damaged armor revealed a glimpse of her body. Realizing that long-range attacks were ineffective against Su Yuting, Jiang Mingyu changed his approach. Charging towards her, he aimed to get close, hugging her as he attempted to reach the spider web on her back. Jiang Mingyu sought to destroy the web by channeling flames through his hands. With determination, he grabbed the spider web and used his fire to cut it off entirely. Successfully removing the spider web from Su Yuting's back, the team found relief as their leader was no longer under the spider's control. However, Jiang Mingyu couldn't help but feel frustrated that he couldn't identify and eliminate the spider responsible for the control. The darkness of the dungeon obscured the web's connection point, posing a potential danger if another team member were to be controlled. As Su Yuting regained consciousness, she found Jiang Mingyu on top of her. Shyly, she inquired about his actions, unaware of the situation. Su Yuting rose to her feet, gradually recovering from the spider's control. Grateful for Jiang Mingyu's intervention, she couldn't help but wonder about the state of her torn clothes, particularly why only a specific part was damaged. Sensing soreness and pain in her back, she felt as though she had fought a battle. Turning to Jiang Mingyu, curiosity etched across her face. Su Yuting sought a more detailed explanation of the events that transpired. Jiang Mingyu explained that the spider had manipulated her, leading to the torn clothes as a result of the attack. However, Su Yuting, discerning something amiss in his demeanor and explanation, suspected deception. The nuances in Jiang Mingyu's facial expressions fueled her skepticism. Attempting to dispel doubts, Jiang Mingyu affirmed the truth of his account and promised to have Kayan verify his role in rescuing her from the spider. Overhearing their conversation, Kayan interjected, inquiring whether Su Yuting had awakened, indicating a need for assistance against the spider onslaught. The urgency of the situation became apparent. Elsewhere, Bai Mao, struggling against the relentless spider attacks, sought Lao Kayan's aid. Overwhelmed, Bai Mao faced imminent danger as the spiders closed in. Lao Kayan, responding to the plea, swiftly dispatched the spider, afflicting Bai Mao. However, in the chaotic struggle, a sudden burst of flames singed Bai Mao's hair. Su Yuting retrieved a green drink from her bag and took a refreshing sip. Frustration lingered within her as she contemplated the peril she had faced in the D-rank dungeon. Expressing her discontent, she couldn't fathom how close she had come to death. In response, Jiang Mingyu advised her to rest before engaging in further combat, emphasizing his capability to support the team. However, Su Yuting, twirling her weapon with determination, dismissed the idea of rest. She insisted that her injuries were minor and that she was ready to showcase the prowess of a B-rank warrior. Eager to demonstrate her true power, Su Yuting charged towards the spiders, her strength renewed. In a swift and decisive motion, she dispatched the spiders, leaving no room for resistance. Her goal was clear: to exhibit to her teammates the might of a B-rank warrior. Kyan, observing Su Yuting's display, felt a sense of relief for not divulging Jiang Mingyu's actions. He understood that had Su Yuting known, the consequences might have been dire for Jiang Mingyu, akin to the spider's fate. In a hushed conversation with Kyan, Jiang Mingyu urged him to speak softly. He expressed a desire to keep his involvement in Su Yuting's rescue a secret, fearing the repercussions of being pursued by 2 B-ranked players in a single day. Su Yuting, undeterred, continued to unleash her skills against the relentless spider onslaught. Employing a technique named Earth Shatter, she caused the ground to quake, dealing significant damage to the surrounding spiders. Bai Mao, impressed by Su Yuting's strength, voiced his admiration, expressing confidence that the group could handle any number of spiders thrown their way. However, Su Yuting, ever the team player, urged her teammates to join the fray instead of merely watching. Recognizing the need for a collective effort, she emphasized that defeating the spiders was a team endeavor. Once the last of the spiders had been eliminated, they would turn their attention to confronting the dungeon's boss. Responding to her call, the team rallied together, rushing to aid their leader. As they engaged in battle, Su Yuting seized the opportunity to question Jiang Mingyu once more about the spider control incident. Noting that the spiders only bit and scratched without spitting webs, she harbored suspicions about his earlier explanation. Jiang Mingyu maintained his innocence, assuring Su Yuting that she had indeed been under the influence of a spider's web. However, Su Yuting, drawing upon her knowledge of monster abilities, pointed out that D-ranked creatures wouldn't possess the advanced skill of metal spirit control. This revelation led Jiang Mingyu to a realization. The true culprit, the leader, must be lurking above, as it was the source of the controlling spiderweb that had ensnared Su Yuting. Jiang Mingyu, realizing the potential threat above, unleashed a blazing fire magic bullet towards the upper reaches of the dungeon. What he discovered shocked him: a vast expanse of spider webs and cocoons, evidence of the leader's sinister handiwork. Urgently cautioning the group, Jiang Mingyu warned them about the likelihood of the monster leader skilled in control lurking above. Responding to the situation, Su Yuting directed Kyan to illuminate the dungeon, hoping to unveil the whereabouts of the boss monster. As Kyan illuminated the space above, he encountered numerous spider webs ensnaring various creatures, but the boss monster remained elusive. Puzzled by the absence of the leader, Jiang Mingyu speculated that it might be hiding or positioned somewhere unexpected. Suddenly, sand began to cascade from above, signaling an ominous development. Jiang Mingyu realized that the leader was observing them from a concealed vantage point. In a swift and explosive turn of events, the leader monster descended, causing a large explosion. Recognizing the imminent danger, Jiang Mingyu urgently instructed Kyan to relocate, sensing that the leader was now directly behind him. Caught off guard, Kyan turned to witness the terrifying presence of the spider leader. In a moment of panic, the monstrous creature attacked, piercing Kyan's back with its lethal legs. The spider leader, revealing itself from the shadows, launched a sudden and ferocious attack, catching Jiang Mingyu and the others off guard. The team, initially believing the monster above them was the dungeon's final boss, quickly reassessed the situation, realizing the true threat lay in the formidable spider leader. Kyan found himself lifted by the spider's powerful legs, his body thrown aggressively to the ground. The impact was severe, and as the spider's legs pierced his chest, Kyan grimaced in pain. Bai Mao, witnessing the brutality, trembled in fear, struggling to maintain a firm grip on his weapon. The spider's strength and the violence of its assault led Bai Mao to question whether they were facing a creature beyond the typical rank of a D-rank boss. Seated on the floor, Bai Mao stared at the monstrous spider leader, overwhelmed by the realization that victory seemed unattainable. The aura emanating from the spider suggested a power level comparable to that of a B-rank monster, intensifying Bai Mao's sense of despair. Jiang Mingyu, drawing upon his pre-player experience and knowledge of dungeon levels, had suspected the dungeon's true nature, especially after observing the abundance of crystals. His suspicions were confirmed when the Abyss system notified him of a mission to defeat the B-rank spider boss. Although taken aback by the challenging task, Jiang Mingyu understood that completing the mission would yield significant rewards. The gravity of the situation dawned on him as he contemplated the daunting mission to vanquish a formidable foe with a power level seemingly beyond his current capabilities. Su Yuting took charge of the situation, instructing Jiang Mingyu and Bai Mao to carry the wounded Kyan out of the dungeon as swiftly as possible. She urged them to seek assistance from the Players Association, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. Jiang Mingyu, stunned by the unexpected turn of events, questioned Su Yuting's decision, expressing concern about leaving her behind to face the monstrous spider boss alone. Unfazed, Su Yuting confidently asserted her strength as a B-rank player, considering herself the team's strongest member. Taking responsibility as the leader of the dungeon raid, she insisted on confronting the spider boss herself. Su Yuting charged towards the formidable creature, intending to engage it and draw its attention away from Jiang Mingyu and the others. Bai Mao, still in shock, struggled to comprehend the unfolding events. Meanwhile, Jiang Mingyu urged him to assist in carrying Kaiyan to safety. Bai Mao voiced his disbelief, stating that Su Yuting, despite being a B-ranked player, might not be a match for the B-rank monster. Jiang Mingyu was curious and questioned Bai Mao, seeking an explanation for why their leader, despite her B-rank status, seemed to be at a disadvantage against the formidable spider boss. Su Yuting, determined to face the formidable B-rank spider boss alone, skillfully dodged its venomous attacks, recognizing the dire consequences of any contact with the corrosive web. Realizing the potency of the spider's venom, which could melt through the ground, she understood the perilous nature of the creature's abilities. As the spider relentlessly attacked with its spiky legs, Su Yuting seized an opportunity to weaken its offensive capabilities. She aimed to cut one of the spider's long legs, hoping to reduce its ability to harm her. However, her efforts proved challenging, as the spider's armor proved resilient against her weapon, resulting in only a light scratch on its leg. Undeterred, the spider pressed on with its assault. Su Yuting skillfully dodged a direct stab attempt, demonstrating her agility and evasive skills. Jiang Mingyu, observing the battle, warned her of a potential sneak attack from the side. Unfortunately, Su Yuting was caught off guard and one of the spider's legs struck her side. The unexpected blow left her vulnerable, unable to evade or defend against the assault. The force of the spider's attack propelled Su Yuting into a rock, causing her to recoil from the impact. Frustration etched across Su Yuting's face as she grappled with the realization that the B-rank spider boss possessed superior strength and defense, making it a formidable adversary. Still nursing her injuries, she found herself immobilized, unable to evade the monster's relentless attacks. In the midst of her vulnerability, just as the monster prepared for another strike, a sudden blaze engulfed it. The creature screeched in pain as the flames surrounded its body. Su Yuting, startled by the unexpected turn of events, watched as Jiang Mingyu emerged as her savior, casting a blazing fire to repel the monster. Recovering from the shock, Su Yuting stood behind Jiang Mingyu, scolding him for risking himself to save her. She questioned his decision not to leave the dungeon with Kaiyan and Bai Mao, emphasizing the difficulty of defeating a B-rank boss. In response, Jiang Mingyu revealed his motive: he hadn't become a player for nothing. Driven by the desire for monetary gain, he couldn't allow Su Yuting to claim all the valuable parts and money that could be earned from defeating the formidable spider boss. Jiang Mingyu inquired of Su Yuting about the value of a B-rank boss before attempting to defeat it. Su Yuting informed Jiang Mingyu that a B-rank boss, especially one as large as the spider, is worth at least 1 million. She explained that the spider's corpse can be used to craft B-rank defensive equipment and weapons. Jiang Mingyu, upon hearing this unexpected windfall, felt both surprised and joyful. He envisioned becoming rich after successfully completing the raid and defeating the boss. However, Su Yuting thought Jiang Mingyu was a bit too focused on the money, expressing concern that he seemed to overlook the potential dangers of the raid. She remarked on his seeming obsession with the monetary gains, noting that he couldn't even speak properly upon hearing the substantial amount they could earn after completing the raid. Despite Su Yuting's reservations, Jiang Mingyu remained optimistic about the financial prospects of the raid. Su Yuting, wanting to provide a more balanced perspective, reminded him that the B-rank boss possessed formidable defense and attack power. She cautioned him about underestimating the challenges, especially considering his status as an E-rank mage, which she emphasized was significantly lower than the B-rank monsters they would be facing. Jiang Mingyu took hold of Su Yuting's weapon, causing her initial unease given the previous incident where he had ended up on top of her. Sensing her discomfort, Jiang Mingyu quickly clarified that he intended to borrow the weapon for a purpose. He stressed the importance of taking action rather than waiting for rescue, acknowledging that they couldn't afford to sit idly and face the possibility of succumbing without a fight. Determined, Jiang Mingyu moved forward, urging Su Yuting to join him in the effort. He swiftly accessed the system and allocated all his remaining attributes to agility, aiming to enhance his speed and agility to better evade the impending monster's attacks. Su Yuting, caught off guard by Jiang Mingyu's proactive approach, couldn't help but express her shock. She considered his decision to lead the charge rather unwise, labeling him as an idiot. In her perception, a mage of E rank like Jiang Mingyu should typically provide support from a distance, letting a warrior take the front line. Despite Su Yuting's skepticism, Jiang Mingyu pressed on. He engaged the monster, narrowly avoiding its leg as it lunged towards him. Su Yuting, observing Jiang Mingyu's daring actions, couldn't help but find him despicable for seemingly risking his life solely for the allure of money. Despite Jiang Mingyu's attempt to increase his agility, he was not entirely successful in dodging the monster's attack, taking a hit in the process. However, Jiang Mingyu remained unfazed, understanding the formidable strength of the B-ranked boss, which justified its hefty 1 million worth. Undeterred, Jiang Mingyu persisted in his attacks, convinced that every monster must have a weak point even if their defense is high. He strategized, focusing on finding and exploiting any vulnerabilities the spider might have. Su Yuting, witnessing Jiang Mingyu's resilience and determination, began to question her initial assumptions about his capabilities as an E-ranked magician. Jiang Mingyu, sticking to his plan, targeted what he believed to be the monster's weak point, its eyes. He unleashed a blazing flame magic bullet aimed directly at the spider's eyes, causing a fiery explosion on its face. Capitalizing on the temporary weakness created by the damaged eyes, Jiang Mingyu swiftly followed up with a stabbing attack aiming to exploit the vulnerability he had created with his earlier magical assault. As Jiang Mingyu prepared to launch his attack, the monster boss surprisingly regained its vision, locking onto him and preparing to strike. Su Yuting, alarmed by the creature's recovery, urgently warned Jiang Mingyu about the imminent attack, advising him to be vigilant. Heeding her words, Jiang Mingyu turned to check, and just in time he dodged a lethal leg strike aimed directly at his head. The dodge was crucial, potentially saving him from a fatal blow that could have severed his head. Reflecting on his strategy, Jiang Mingyu believed that he had impaired the monster's eyesight with his earlier magical assault. However, Su Yuting scolded him, emphasizing that the spider boss's perception wasn't solely dependent on its eyes. She pointed out that the monster could also sense its surroundings using its 8 large legs, cautioning Jiang Mingyu against underestimating its capabilities. Despite the setback, Jiang Mingyu noticed something encouraging: the spider boss's belly was bleeding. He deduced that the blazing flame magic bullet he had hurled earlier in an attempt to save Su Yuting had struck the creature's belly. Suddenly, the Abyss system notified Jiang Mingyu that his weak aura had been elevated to level 2 and its new passive ability could decrease his presence. Curious, Jiang Mingyu examined the system prompt and discovered that the weak aura could now conceal his presence for 3 seconds. Recognizing the potential advantage, he realized that this feature could be instrumental in evading the spider boss, as it wouldn't be able to sense his location during that brief period if he utilized the weakening aura. Su Yuting inquired about Jiang Mingyu's plan, and he revealed that the strategy involved provoking the spider boss, drawing its attention and allowing him to execute the final strike. Su Yuting, skeptical due to the boss's high level, argued that they could only stall it for seconds, deeming Jiang Mingyu's plan seemingly impractical against a B-rank monster. Jiang Mingyu, however, expressed confidence, stating that even 1 second would be enough for him to land the decisive blow. Convinced by Jiang Mingyu's determination and having gained trust from a previous rescue, Su Yuting agreed to support his plan. She swiftly took action, seeking an opportunity to distract the boss and provide Jiang Mingyu the opening he needed. Jiang Mingyu, ready to execute the final strike, promptly ordered the system to conceal his presence. As Su Yuting successfully distracted the monster with her skills, she urged Jiang Mingyu to seize the moment and attack. With his presence hidden, Jiang Mingyu prepared for the critical strike, aiming to take advantage of the distraction and deal a decisive blow to the weakened spider boss. Su Yuting and Jiang Mingyu defeated the spider boss. The system told Jiang Mingyu that he got 200 points and reached level 13 with 2 undistributed attribute points. After beating the monster and finishing the mission, the system rewarded him with an Abyss ring. Jiang Mingyu wasn't surprised about getting a ring. He didn't expect such a valuable reward from the system. Su Yuting explained that the loot they collected would be shared based on each person's contribution. Since Jiang Mingyu played a significant role in fighting the monsters, he would take 60% of the loot. Su Yuting, who helped eliminate the boss, would take 20%. Tian and Bai Mao would take 10% each. Su Yuting, as the leader, asked if anyone had objections. Tian, being treated by Bai Mao, didn't complain about the loot distribution and thanked Jiang Mingyu for saving them. Tian realized he could have died from the spider's attack if Jiang Mingyu hadn't rescued them. They didn't expect the dungeon to be worth around 1 million, so getting a 10% share was significant, giving them 100,000. Su Yuting told them to prepare to leave the dungeon since there were no objections. Jiang Mingyu was the first to exit and asked Su Yuting to call him for another raid to earn money. At Jiang Mingyu's home, Tao Zai and her mom discussed Jiang Mingyu. Right when Tao Zai was about to mention that he took part in the player exam, her mom calmly revealed that she already knew. She explained that understanding Jiang Mingyu's determined personality, once he decides on something he follows through and there's no stopping him. Recognizing his desire for a better life, she believed they should support his decision to join the player's exam. As they conversed, a knock interrupted them. Jiang Mingyu's aunt assumed it was him, thinking he might have lost his key again. When Tao Zai's mom opened the door instead of Jiang Mingyu, she found unfamiliar men. A man with spiky hair inquired if Jiang Mingyu was home, explaining that they were looking for him. Jiang Mingyu went to the market and bought presents for his aunt and Tao Zai, happy to finally have some money after becoming a player. He hoped that by getting gifts for his aunt, she would be more accepting of his choice to continue as a player. As he neared his house, he was taken aback by the crowd gathered outside. Puzzled and alarmed, Jiang Mingyu wondered why so many unfamiliar people were surrounding his home. A man with an eye patch covering his right eye noticed Jiang Mingyu and exclaimed that he had finally returned. Confused, Jiang Mingyu confronted the group, asking who they were and why they were at his house with so many people. A man with a demon mask urged Jiang Mingyu to stop wasting time, mentioning that their boss had been waiting inside the house for a long time. Jiang Mingyu, concerned for his aunt and Tao Zai, hurried towards the room where the strangers and his family were. He burst into the room to find his aunt and Tao Zai visibly frightened by the presence of these unfamiliar men. Seeing their fear angered Jiang Mingyu, and he was upset that these strangers had caused distress to his loved ones. As his aunt spotted him entering the room, she urgently instructed Jiang Mingyu to escape quickly. Fueled by anger and worry for his family, Jiang Mingyu was determined to confront the situation. The leader of the strangers, trying to defuse the tension, picked up a glass of water and calmly told Jiang Mingyu to calm down. The leader explained to Jiang Mingyu that he had been summoned from Japan to handle his case, expressing surprise at finding him formidable and not the supposed trash he had anticipated. Jiang Mingyu quickly connected the dots, suspecting that Dechuan was behind these men in his house. Realizing the threat, Jiang Mingyu demanded that the strangers leave his family alone and only deal with him if they had issues with him. Despite Jiang Mingyu's defiance, the boss stared him down and issued a veiled threat. Suddenly, without warning, the leader's men started to assault Jiang Mingyu. The man with the eye patch asserted that Jiang Mingyu had no right to make demands. The beating continued relentlessly, with Jiang Mingyu enduring blows, kicks, and attacks even as he began to cough up blood from the severe damage. As one of the men attacked Jiang Mingyu from behind, he coughed up even more blood. Witnessing this, Jiang Mingyu's aunt, overwhelmed with despair, pleaded with the leader to stop the assault on her nephew. In response, the leader became enraged, slapping Jiang Mingyu's aunt and hurling insults, calling her a hag. The sight of his aunt being mistreated fueled Jiang Mingyu's anger. Despite the beating he was enduring, he glared at the leader and vehemently warned them not to dare lay a hand on his family members. The leader held Tao Zai captive and presented Jiang Mingyu with a sinister proposition. He could fulfill Jiang Mingyu's request under one condition. In a disturbing and harassing act, the leader licked Tao Zai's neck, suggesting that if Jiang Mingyu's sister served him, he wouldn't need to sacrifice himself. Overwhelmed and helpless, Jiang Mingyu fell to the ground, grappling with the desperate situation and unable to devise a solution to save his family. In a moment of reflection, Jiang Mingyu reconsidered his choices. From the beginning, he had walked the thin line between life and death, sacrificing his own safety to secure a better life for his family. Memories flooded back, recalling his confrontation with the loan office enforcer and facing life-threatening situations in the collapsing dungeon as a minor. Despite all his efforts to improve his life and that of his family, Jiang Mingyu felt he had failed. In the midst of his despair, a sudden vision unfolded before him. A man sitting on a throne in a grand palace appeared, issuing a commanding order for Jiang Mingyu to rise from his defeated position. The man seated on the throne called out to Jiang Mingyu, issuing a commanding order for him to stand. In response to this ethereal summons, Jiang Mingyu rose from the ground. In the real world, his movements seemingly guided by an unseen force. As he stood, Jiang Mingyu's eyes underwent a remarkable transformation, turning black and emanating a glowing aura that permeated the air with a palpable intensity. The leader of the gang, witnessing Jiang Mingyu's resilience, acknowledged his toughness in being able to withstand the relentless attacks. Intrigued and puzzled by the unusual aura surrounding Jiang Mingyu, the leader grew curious about the source of his strength. The man with the eye patch, seizing the opportunity for a jest, playfully teased his companion, questioning whether he had weakened or refrained from using his full power given Jiang Mingyu's ability to rise after the onslaught. Undeterred, the demon-masked man clenched his fist, dismissing the taunts. Asserting that he had not grown weaker, he charged toward Jiang Mingyu with a fierce determination, prepared to unleash a deadly assault with his clenched fist. The masked man prepared to strike Jiang Mingyu with a powerful punch. However, Jiang Mingyu, now fully aware and in control, was ready for the attack. With a rapid countermove, he unleashed a forceful punch to the man's chest, declaring that he, not the masked man, would meet his demise. The onlookers, including the gang's leader and his associates, stared in shock at Jiang Mingyu's sudden and unexpected display of strength. Realizing the potential danger, the man with the eye patch quickly assessed the situation and urged his comrades to act swiftly. He warned them that Jiang Mingyu might still be concealing his true powers, and facing his unleashed abilities could pose a serious threat. As one of the men held Jiang Mingyu captive, the rest of the gang prepared to launch an attack. The man restraining Jiang Mingyu seized the opportunity, attempting a swift and forceful kick aimed at Jiang Mingyu's face. In a seemingly grim moment, he sneered, telling Jiang Mingyu to meet his end. However, just as the kick was about to connect, Jiang Mingyu surprised everyone by smoothly dodging the attack. The man's foot sailed through the air, narrowly missing its intended target. Astonished, the gang member, now vulnerable from his own failed strike, realized that Jiang Mingyu had skillfully evaded the attack. Jiang Mingyu skillfully dodged the attack and retaliated by attempting a forceful kick between the legs of the man who had threatened him moments earlier. The impact of Jiang Mingyu's kick left the man incapacitated, and Jiang Mingyu commanded him to kneel before him. However, the other man, who still held Jiang Mingyu captive, was unwilling to release him, prompting Jiang Mingyu to take decisive action. With precision and speed, Jiang Mingyu inserted his 2 fingers into the nose of the man, restraining him, swiftly bringing him down. As Jiang Mingyu continued to confront and incapacitate the gang members, Tao Zai, observing the unfolding scene, held her mother in surprise. She marveled at Jiang Mingyu's unexpected prowess in single-handedly taking on the attackers and defending his family. The leader scrutinized Jiang Mingyu's movements and acknowledged the effectiveness of his skills as a beginner player. He conceded that Jiang Mingyu's victory over his young master Dechuan in their previous battle was not surprising given his capabilities. Despite the seemingly weak aura, the leader was impressed that Jiang Mingyu could defeat most of his underlings. The man whom Jiang Mingyu had subdued lay on the ground nursing a bleeding nose. The leader, rising to his feet, prepared to take matters into his own hands. He confronted Jiang Mingyu, asserting that despite both being B-rank players, Jiang Mingyu was not the weak type that Dechuan had proven to be during their encounter in the players' exam. In response, Jiang Mingyu smirked and taunted the leader, claiming that villains like him often talk too much before meeting their demise. This angered the leader, who took offense at Jiang Mingyu's words. Unfazed, Jiang Mingyu boldly declared that he would be the one to end the leader's life. The leader relentlessly attacked Jiang Mingyu with a barrage of punches, but Jiang Mingyu's agility proved remarkable as he skillfully dodged each incoming blow. Impressed by Jiang Mingyu's swift movements, the leader inquired if he could keep up the evasion as he attempted a kick to land a decisive strike. However, Jiang Mingyu continued to showcase his nimbleness, deftly avoiding the leader's attacks and responding with a counterattack using close combat techniques. As a result of Jiang Mingyu's skillful maneuvers, the leader, who had been hired by Dechuan, found himself thrown to the ground after Jiang Mingyu executed a well-placed kick. Despite being on the receiving end, the leader maintained a smirk and proceeded to mock Jiang Mingyu, expressing amusement at being made to fly with just a kick. He continued to taunt Jiang Mingyu, confidently threatening that ultimately Jiang Mingyu would be the one to meet his demise after their fierce battle. The leader underwent a grotesque transformation, sprouting animal-like hair and extending his nails. He informed Jiang Mingyu that he should consider it an honor that the leader was going to use his enhanced skills to end his life. With an air of confidence, the transformed leader declared that the game had concluded and Jiang Mingyu should prepare to meet his demise, asserting that he had no match against him in his current state. However, Jiang Mingyu remained unfazed by the leader's changed appearance. Instead, he calmly summoned a weapon. Defiantly, Jiang Mingyu asserted that the leader didn't have the right to prematurely decide the outcome of their battle when it had only just begun. He declared that he was just getting started and the real game had only just become interesting for him. The B-rank leader hired by the Dechuan family to assassinate Jiang Mingyu admonished him, stating that he was still a kid and should stop acting tough. The B-rank leader, now completely transformed into a beast-like creature, attacked Jiang Mingyu and prepared to strike him with its sharp claw. The B-rank leader told Jiang Mingyu that even before dying he still had the confidence to flex and brag despite his current situation. As he attacked, Jiang Mingyu swiftly dodged all the strikes and was able to keep up with the speed of the B-rank leader, successfully defending himself. The B-rank leader praised Jiang Mingyu for his quick reflexes. However, catching him off guard, the B-rank leader kicked his side and Jiang Mingyu was unable to defend against it. Subsequently, Jiang Mingyu could not thwart the attack and was pushed off, aggressively colliding with the wall. Quickly opening his eyes, Jiang Mingyu tried to recover swiftly from the assault. While he was still in the process of recovering, the B-rank leader was already charging towards him, insisting they continue their fight because he wasn't finished picking a fight with Jiang Mingyu. The B-rank leader attempted to smash Jiang Mingyu's head, but fortunately Jiang Mingyu dodged it before it could make contact. To Jiang Mingyu's surprise, when he attacked the B-rank leader, he didn't realize where he was and was about to grab his head on the left side. Jiang Mingyu swiftly seized the leader's head and forcefully smashed it against the wall. The magic sword in Jiang Mingyu's hand was ready for another strike, taking advantage of the leader's disorientation after the head smash. The sword, infused with magical power, cut a small piece of the leader's skin as he couldn't evade it. The leader was still recovering from the previous blow to the head, leaving him vulnerable to Jiang Mingyu's next move. Jiang Mingyu smiled as he continued attacking the B-rank leader with his sword, causing the leader to panic because Jiang Mingyu's pace had quickened compared to before. Suddenly, Jiang Mingyu was caught off guard and the B-rank leader successfully landed an attack on him. The strike was severe, throwing Jiang Mingyu to the ground. After the attack, the B-rank leader mocked Jiang Mingyu, praising him for still being able to stand up and noting his toughness and resilience. Despite the mocking, Jiang Mingyu stood back up as the B-rank leader continued to taunt him, telling him to stop being delusional about tiring him out and complimenting the effectiveness of Jiang Mingyu's weapon. The leader admitted that he wasn't certain about Jiang Mingyu's abilities, but after their fight he believed that no matter how good the weapon was in Jiang Mingyu's hands, it would be useless. In response, Jiang Mingyu mockingly questioned the B-rank leader, asking if he had become stupid after transforming into an ugly beast. The B-rank leader was confused by Jiang Mingyu's words, so Jiang Mingyu advised him to check his own body before boasting so proudly. The B-rank leader noticed a small wound from the earlier sword attack. As he checked his body, he discovered not only a slice on his chest but also that Jiang Mingyu had cut off his arms. Shocked by the loss of his arms, the B-rank leader became enraged at what Jiang Mingyu had done to his body. Looking at the pitiful state of the B-rank leader, Jiang Mingyu removed a piece of his own attire and mockingly referred to the B-rank leader as a kitty. He told him to continue the fight and to stop complaining. Meanwhile, on the other side of Jiang Mingyu's apartment, a man was pleading for his life. He knelt on the ground and promised the person who might harm him that he could offer anything they wanted. He explained eagerly that he had just become a player and would give all his earnings to the person. The potential assailant approached and stood in front of him, reassuring the frightened man that there was no need to be scared. As the man looked at the kneeling boy, the person told him that from that day forward, he would be by his side like a companion to a god. The man grabbed the boy's tearful face and accused him of being evil. Before the boy could finish speaking, the man detonated an explosive, causing the boy's head to be blown off and blood scattered on the ground. The boy lay lifeless. The man believed that being killed and joining God in heaven should be an honorable fate. He seemed to be an assassin tasked with executing people. With the boy eliminated, only one person remained on his list to complete the job. Surprisingly, the last person he needed to kill was Jiang Mingyu, as shown in the photo he held. Jiang Mingyu skillfully managed to inflict a significant wound on the leader who had attacked his home. Triumphantly, he mocked the leader by playfully referring to him as a mere kitty, daring him to continue their fierce confrontation. The leader, seething with anger due to both the injury and the insult, was bewildered by the fact that despite him being a formidable warrior with a rank combat ability, Jiang Mingyu had successfully cut him. The leader, now missing his left arm due to Jiang Mingyu's precise strike, grappled with confusion. The leader thought, how could his impenetrable flesh succumb to a blade so easily? Additionally, he questioned why he had not sensed Jiang Mingyu's movements as he executed the decisive strike. Unfazed, Jiang Mingyu charged relentlessly towards the leader, engaging him both physically and verbally. With a wry smile, he questioned the leader's assumption that a ranked player could engage in battle casually. The leader, his anger escalating, snapped at Jiang Mingyu, commanding him to cease his chatter and refrain from uttering nonsense. Enraged, the leader smashed the ground as Jiang Mingyu charged towards him, vehemently cautioning him against getting cocky just because he managed to cut off his arm. Jiang Mingyu in response mockingly dismissed the leader's attempt, asserting that his circus attacks were futile and ineffective against him. Undeterred, the leader focused on Jiang Mingyu, ready to counterattack. However, to his bewilderment, he couldn't discern where Jiang Mingyu was striking or pinpoint his opponent's location. Seizing the opportunity, Jiang Mingyu taunted the leader, urging him to step aside. With unparalleled agility and precision, Jiang Mingyu unleashed a flurry of strikes on the leader's body. Each cut was executed with a deliberate intention not to kill but to demonstrate his superior skill and control over the situation. Staggering to his feet, the leader found himself in a daze, reeling from the relentless assault by Jiang Mingyu. Frustration gripped him as he perceived Jiang Mingyu's actions as a form of mockery, a deliberate attempt to toy with him by inflicting numerous cuts without delivering a fatal blow. The leader, consumed by anger, concluded that Jiang Mingyu had no intention of ending his life but rather reveled in prolonging his suffering. Driven by a surge of rage, the leader, determined to turn the tide, launched himself at Jiang Mingyu with lethal intent. Charging forward, he aimed to deliver a decisive strike that would put an end to the relentless onslaught. However, before the leader could execute his attack, Jiang Mingyu seamlessly appeared in a strategic position, calmly declaring that it was time to conclude the game. As the leader prepared to launch a final fatal assault, Jiang Mingyu swiftly executed a last decisive blow. The leader's anguished scream filled the air as the deadly strike, imbued with blue magic, connected with his body, sealing his fate. The leader succumbed to the powerful attack and life faded from his eyes. In the aftermath of the battle, the entity controlling Jiang Mingyu's actions realized that the body had reached its limits. Exhausted from the relentless fights, including confronting 2 B-ranked players in a single day, Jiang Mingyu's physical form neared collapse. From the imposing throne, the controller decided it was time to relinquish control and return Jiang Mingyu's body. As soon as the external influence released its hold, Jiang Mingyu's body crumpled to the ground. Tao Zai, witnessing his brother's sudden collapse, was filled with concern and she rushed towards him. A man emerged from behind a tree, lamenting that he might have missed a captivating show. Nonetheless, he found solace in the refreshing air of the place. Lowering his mask, he inhaled deeply, detecting a mixture of the metallic scent of blood and an otherworldly divine essence. Recognizing the presence of humans, he couldn't resist the temptation to taste their blood. Despite the allure, he knew he had to report the events to his director. Meanwhile, Jiang Mingyu regained consciousness in an unfamiliar location. As he stood and surveyed his surroundings, a mysterious black shadow materialized behind him. The shadow, bearing a striking resemblance to Jiang Mingyu, inquired about the sensation of wielding formidable power against adversaries. It revealed that the power lent to Jiang Mingyu was just a fraction of what it possessed. Startled, Jiang Mingyu rebuked the shadow, expressing frustration at being startled. He demanded to know the shadow's identity and intentions, pointing out that it seemed like he had been talking to himself all along. The enigmatic figure turned to face Jiang Mingyu and calmly stated that he was in fact Jiang Mingyu. Jiang Mingyu awoke from his slumber, his dreams fading away as he tried to grasp his surroundings. Confused, he surveyed the unfamiliar place and realized he was in a hospital room. The attending nurse expressed relief that he had finally awakened after a prolonged period of sleep. Eager to know about his family, Jiang Mingyu promptly inquired about their well-being. The nurse informed him that Tao Zai had brought him to the hospital and left instructions for him to visit the brain department sick room 312 upon waking. Tao Zai, she mentioned, was currently accompanying her mother. Ignoring the nurse's caution to remain in bed, Jiang Mingyu hastily got up and headed towards the designated room. Hastening down the hospital corridor, he arrived at the door where Tao Zai and his aunt were located. Anxious, he swung the door open and anxiously asked Tao Zai about his aunt's condition. Tao Zai reassured him that her mother was doing well and urged Jiang Mingyu not to worry. Tao Zai gently informed Jiang Mingyu that their aunt had sustained a concussion and other injuries necessitating a 2-day hospital stay for observation as recommended by the doctor. Upon hearing this, Jiang Mingyu immediately blamed himself for the hardships Tao Zai and her mother endured, grappling with guilt over the situation. Attempting to ease her brother's burden, Tao Zai assured Jiang Mingyu that they were all right and emphasized that it was not his fault. She acknowledged the silver lining that they were safe despite the challenges they faced. However, when Tao Zai mentioned that their house was no longer standing, having been lost in the ordeal, Jiang Mingyu was struck with disbelief. The reality of losing their home hit Jiang Mingyu and he couldn't contain his shock. In a burst of emotions, he shouted in disbelief. Jiang worriedly asks the girl if their house is really destroyed because of his fight with the guy earlier, hearing which she gets angry and asks him back does he not remember what happened. She further says that he should know if he wants to fight. He should fight outside, and he put her and her mother in danger, and now they don't have a house to live in and they haven't paid the medical bill, due to which they might get chased out of the hospital tonight. Jiang nervously says that he will look for a house and also pay the bill as he starts to leave. She stops him and points towards a bag and says to him that the bag contains his clothes that she bought and he should change them because his old clothes are torn. He gets ready, and as he's leaving, he asks her to take care of Aunt and says they will change shift once he finds a good house to rent, to which she replies that it should be cheap and it doesn't matter if it's small. He nods in agreement and walks out of there. As he's walking, he sighs and thinks even a fight can cost him money. He remembers yesterday's dungeon resources should be sold already, and Yu Ting already said that it was worth around 600,000. He opens his phone to check the balance and is shocked to see 750,000 in his balance. He wonders what is the extra money for, then he sees a message which reads the extra money is a thanks towards him from Yu Ting. He smiles and says he will keep it since he is already 3.5 million in debt. He suddenly remembers the Chuan family guy and cannot believe he defeated him so easily. He says it doesn't feel so real because everything was so blurry when it happened. As he's lost in his thoughts, he is stopped by a female voice asking if he was Jiang Mingyu. He turns around and sees a beautiful lady and says to her that he is indeed Jiang, but who is she? She introduces herself as the leader of the Tiger Ben Guild, Lai Yuan, and she has come specially to see him. Jiang asks her if they know each other and apologizes if he doesn't remember. He says that so much happened the day before he cannot remember everything. She replies that they do not know each other, however she has something she wants to talk about with him somewhere quiet as she strokes her hair backwards. Jiang thinks she looks very pretty and agrees to talk with her. They go to an isolated bench and he says this place is really quiet and suitable to talk about anything. He says that he doesn't want to beat around the bush and comes straight to the point. He asks her if she's there to recruit him to the guild or did the Chuan family has sent her there. She gets annoyed and says the Tiger Ben Guild has no relations with the Chuan family. She further says that he is well known among the new awakened players. Even though he is only a E rank, still he managed to defeat the Dark Horse Chuan standard, and he killed a B rank player the Chuan family sent, and though not many people know about it, it will soon be spread. She keeps getting more and more annoyed as she is telling him how the Chuan family lost their respect 2 times because of him. She shouts at him because he is eating while she is talking to him. He tells her that he hasn't eaten anything since yesterday, and he is listening to her. She tells him that the Chuan family is backed up an organization called Miracle who research on living things. 3 cars stop by the hospital and few men in black suits get out. A person says they have arrived, and according to their reports and information from their members, this is the hospital Jiang was sent to. Their leader orders them to go and get him as they start searching for him. Jiang looks confused and asks when he is not related to the Miracle organization in any way, and asks if such a large organization wants to help the Chuan family to come after him and take revenge. She tells him that Miracle researches on players and monsters' abilities and they will definitely be attracted by his ability. He angrily asks how does she know all this, to which she replies that she is also a warrior player and can use magic spells at her status and level. He asks what does she want from him and she invites him to join her guild. She tells him that the Tiger Ben Guild will recruit him and he will get rewards for dungeons and a temporary place for him and his family to stay. Jiang thinks considering the position of his family right now, it is not a bad offer. Suddenly the men in suit arrive there and the leader asks him to wait and take his decision after listening to his conditions. Li Wen asks who are they and why are they looking for Jiang Mingyu. The leader tells them that they are from the Miracle Organization and he is the Asia Department's country person in charge and has come to pass on the organization's message. Jiang gets defensive and asks them if they're here to cause trouble on behalf of the Dechuan family, then they should go elsewhere to fight. He replies that they are his enemy and in fact want everyone to be friends and work for the organization together. Li Wen gets angry and in a furious voice says to him that Jiang is a member of her guild so they should stop dreaming about him joining them. The leader backs up and laughs nervously and replies she shouldn't get so angry, but it looks like Jiang has not agreed to join her clan till now. Jiang says that indeed he has not agreed and was considering it, but that does not mean he will join the Miracle Organization. And since two groups came looking for him on the same day, that means he must be quite amazing and special. The leader says that since he is still considering, he should listen to their offer. He further says that he is already in huge debt and if he joins them, they will help him clear off the debt first. Li Wen interrupts and says it's only money and their clan can also help him by raiding more dungeons and earning more rewards. He replies if that's the case, then how long will it take and how many dungeons will they have to raid in order to raise 3.5 million? She is shocked and asks Jiang how is he so much in debt despite being so young. The man further says this is for courtesy and offers a key to a luxurious apartment for him and his family which they can move in anytime. Li Wen confidently says that it is as expected from such a huge organization, and though their offer is so good, Jiang will not join them because the Tiger Ben Guild can also solve his problems. The man replies that Jiang seems quite happy with their offer and Li Wen is surprised to see him considering it. She says even so he's happy they should quit because everyone knows they work for the Dechuan family and Jiang might be like a sheep going into Tiger's Den after joining them. He replies that they understand the problem he has with the Dechuan family. He says that from his point of view it is just a small argument that can be solved easily and he will personally help to resolve the issue. Jiang thinks if he cannot solve the problem with the Dechuan family, he won't be able to live in this city peacefully, and now this problem can be solved by miracle even if just temporarily. Li Wen sees this and says to him that he can't be thinking of joining them just because of this and even their clan can protect his family, but Jiang has already decided and says he wants to join the Miracle Organization.